What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Says podcast. I am your host, as always, Garrett Williams, and today I am just joined by my one good co-host here, Kyle Henning. Kyle, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing all right. Getting through the end of the week here. Had a few weird couple days the last few days, but getting through the end of the week and ready to talk some camp and Chiefs football and ready to start getting a little bit closer. We had our first preseason game of the year was yesterday at the Hall of Fame game, and it was awful as expected because it was the first preseason game of the year for two
Pretty
teams.
bad, yeah. DTR, though, I mean, sheesh.
Kellen Mond does not look like he's long for that system. We'll see.
Yeah, he better start looking into real estate because that's probably going to be his future very soon.
Yeah, that was a tough look. He had a rough game, and then DTR
in
looked.
contrast to DTR just coming in and dominating. It's like, well, all right then. Seems like yeah.
And then
of
course,
a lot of fun off-season stuff going on. The Chiefs preseason game isn't for another, I believe, like 10 days still.
It's next week. It's Friday, so 7 days from now.
7 days maybe, yeah. So it's coming up soon, and we got
I think it's Friday.
A lot to look forward to in that game. A lot of camp battles that are going on at the moment that we're going to talk about today. Of course, our good friend Arrowhead Tom is not here.
Oh, no, I apologize. It is the 13th. It is not the
13th. So it's like 11 days. Like when you hear it's 10 days, you know?
Yeah.
I was somewhere. I might have saw that somewhere.
Close. Yeah, it's the 13th. It's on next Sunday. I apologize.
Next Sunday. Nice.
At noon on NFL Network, for those of you looking for that.
All right. There will be a lot of people looking out for that because there's going to be a lot to look for. Obviously, like I said, camp battles going on. There's a couple very notable battles.
Yeah. There's a lot of notable battles, I think, at this point.
Yeah. Even though, I mean, it's kind of like a luxury thing. Like we've got a lot of the key positions locked down. It's just kind of figuring out what the best set of guys is. Receiver is going to be a big one. Running back, defensive line. There's going to be a bunch of stuff to really talk about. So we're going to talk about it.
I guess where do you want to start? You want to start receivers and kind of receiver running backs just to get it going?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start because that's kind of the biggest hype that's been going around camp so far is the receiving room. Obviously, Justin Ross, the undrafted free agent for the Chiefs last year, has been shown out this year on camp after fully being healthy finally, and we can really showcase his route running ability, his catch radius. I mean, he's pretty much proven to be almost a roster lock at this point, which kind of leaves the Chiefs in an interesting scenario with the amount of receivers that they have.
The problem is they've got so many guys that do different things. Now, there is 0 people on the Chiefs roster at the wide receiver position that can do, from a skill set perspective, what Justin Ross can do. That I'm not arguing that statement. I will not fight that fact. However, when this roster gets decided, I didn't originally think he would necessarily be on it because I didn't know how much work he was going to get in camp with all the other guys, with all the receivers, with Kadarius, with them trying to get everybody up and running. But with Kadarius's injury, it's given them a lot of ability to see a lot of these guys run with the ones as opposed to the twos.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that I think has been the most demonstrative with his play with the ones. And Patrick is like, yo, okay, I know, but that, and I want that, and I want that on my roster to be able to use that when I want to use that. The concerns have never, ever been his talent level. Ever. He destroyed Alabama as a sophomore.
Yeah.
With one of the best secondaries and defenses in the country.
He was basically going to be a first-round pick. Like, that was almost a lock until injuries ended up happening.
And not just like, hey, a little, like, spinal fusion surgery is no joke, y'all. That's serious injury. The thing that they kept him on the IR with last year was the foot surgery. But again, I still think that was more of a let's make sure we've got the back all right. The IR is a nice place for somebody. And he's already had a foot injury. We can do the stash him thing that we do with some guys.
They do,
the Matt Bushman, although Matt got hurt because he got dirty hit last year.
Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah.
That was some that was some messed up stuff that happened to him last year.
Yeah,
But
they've done Byron.
They've
Pringle
done it. Yeah,
with
Byron.
Malik Herring,
Blake Bell has gotten a couple of, hey,
yeah.
we're going to cut you, but we're going to call you back in 5 minutes after we cut you and bring you back. So
Don't worry about it.
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And don't go anywhere else.
Yeah, you got a spot here. For sure.
There's some stuff like that that's happening, but with this wide receiver room, man. So, I mean, let's just roll through them. You already know MVS, Sky, and Kadarius are on this roster. You know Rashee Rice is going to be on this roster. You know Justin Watson is going to be on this roster. There's 5. Richie James has basically been announced your punt returner.
He has.
Or kick returner, because I think Generic Prince has been announced your punt returner, essentially. One or the other. I can't remember which way it was, but Dave Toe basically said those 2 dudes right now are the top.
Richie James is almost certainly going to be a guy on the receiver.
So,
especially with the returnability and special team stuff.
Dave is going to get at least one of those guys to be his pick.
Come on, Dave always gets one.
So that's 6, and I haven't said Justin Ross's name yet.
Right, yeah.
So that's 7. When we originally started talking about this, 7 wide receivers is something Andy was never, ever, 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 ever done. Ever. Now, he's also never
only had 5.
He's also never not had a fullback. That's changed this year because the league has kind of dictated that. We thought it would lead to an easier, hey, they're just going to keep 4 running backs, which at this point they kind of are, unless they're going to do something with the one guy, which we know they're probably not going to until at least the trade deadline. So Clyde is probably making this 53 with 4 running backs.
Yeah.
Because you can't hide, because you're not going to be able to hide Deneric Prince, because he's gotten too much hype.
Deneric Prince
and too much love and too much. Right. So you can't hide him. You can't practice squad stash that guy, because Eric Bieniemy and Ryan Poles and Doug Peterson.
There's too many Reed disciples around.
No chance.
They will.
No chance.
They will. Well, like you said though, with Kadarius Toney being out, it does kind of.
However, you have to take him to the 53.
Yeah, he has to make the 53
because he caught a punt.
It's kind of
before practice started.
IR stash type thing, and maybe just cut another vet, call him back, sign him back the next day.
That's where I think you might get the Blake Bell thing, because unless, and this is the other factor that plays into this, Jody got banged up.
Yeah,
early
Jody
in camp again.
Get hurt as well. Yeah. Another person where I don't think you really want to cut him potentially.
No, but again,
Blake Bell makes the most sense out of those guys to kind of be that.
Well, and I think you could probably, and I don't remember which radio show was talking about this, but like what I was talking about, where they, cut him and then let me go ahead and grab your phone for 24 hours and not let you go anywhere else while we're doing this.
Yeah, once you put Kadarius Toney on IR for the start of the season, which is probably going to happen. I mean, he might come back, which would be great, but also we don't need to rush him back.
That's a tough ask.
Be out the first 4 weeks, right? Because of the new IR rules.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's 4 on the IR is the minimum.
Yeah, so, I mean,
is the minimum time.
Losing a huge chunk to make sure that he's healthy, and then you have an extra roster spot for whoever you decide to bring back. But yeah, Justin Ross, that is the most likely path.
I think he's making this roster. I do. I don't think he can't.
He's not going to make
point.
it through waivers. That's the thing. So they have to keep him, and the potential talent level is unreal. I mean,
it's his talent level. Like I said, has never once been a concern. He's extremely talented.
That's future.
The only questions were, is he going to have the same burst, get up and go, and all the other stuff with the foot and the spinal and the back stuff, and I guess it was neck back. I don't know. It was in his spinal column somewhere.
Yeah.
And the foot, was he going to be explosive? And then how can he take hits? Is he going to be able to hold up throughout a year of all of that stuff? Those are the questions. Well, you've got an army of wide receivers at this point. You don't really have a depicted guy as who you're going to run as your one. So you might as well, because then you can just rotate what you want on a base-to-base, play-to-play basis.
You just rotate in so many different guys. And, obviously we talked about the special teams factors in as well. And people are like, well, do you want to see him on special teams? It's like,
no,
you already need to. Yeah, I mean that's what Justin Watson's here for. Richie James.
I don't want to see him on special.
Yeah, just because he is technically wide receiver 7, doesn't mean that he's.
Well, but I don't know that he is. I think he's probably wide receiver 5. Honestly, 4 or 5.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, some guy that you really don't have to
At
rely
least
on
right
too early in the season.
as it starts, and then you can see where it goes and what develops. Because this is the other thing he gives you. If he develops and continues, you don't have to worry about what you're going to do when MVS's contract runs out.
Yeah, that's the other thing right there.
Because remember, this is the last year of MVS on a deal. He had a 2-year deal. This is year 2. There's been nothing as far as extending it, nothing, which there shouldn't be.
That's okay.
Yet, if we can talk about it after how this year goes,
great,
fantastic. If you ball out, then you get paid, as the late great and very missed Therese Paylor always said. Contract year, undefeated.
I think too with MVS, I feel like people are kind of like confused on who the type of wide receiver one is. I feel like it's MVS as far as like the person you're going to be targeting the most as far as wide receivers. He's the guy. I mean, he's the most reliable veteran guy in that room right now.
Yeah. So, he's the most seasoned, tenured by.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he's not like DeAndre Hopkins, Jamar Chase type wide receiver one, but he is the number one receiver type.
The other part is, and I know people don't think that Patrick ever does anything incorrect, because that's who Patrick is to this whole fan base at this point. But he told you, Andy told you, Matt told you, like these guys have all said, he missed MVS several times last year on deep balls. Not MVS not being there, not being open.
I mean, he got missed. Open. Yeah.
Now, does that going to happen? Yeah. But I would expect
did he also have some drops that hit him in the hand and stuff like that? Yeah, but
sure. I would expect that percentage of connections on the deep balls to increase this year with him and MVS.
Yeah.
I would also expect that his deep ball percentage with John Ross is going to be pretty good, because
Justin Ross,
sorry. Yeah. John Ross retired.
John Ross retired.
Yeah, we forgot. We haven't talked about that yet. He had
potentially in the mix that he said, "Peace out. This Andy Reid camp ain't for me, man."
He wasn't in the mix. I told as soon as they
is real.
I said that's a camp body, and I think he realized immediately I'm a camp body.
And he also said, "Okay, what am I doing here? We're running 15 play drives in practice." Like
he turned around and went, "Wait a minute, they got like 8 young kids here."
Yeah, he saw Justin Ross.
All of them.
He saw Justin Ross make one catch. He was like,
They got 8 kids here. They like all of them. There's nowhere for me to. What the? It's 105 degrees. We're running. How many? I'm supposed to do.
This is a 15 play drive I have to run right now, and then we're doing conditioning afterwards.
See y'all later. I'm a see y'all. I'm gonna see y'all out. I'll see y'all later. Like, and I don't. Hey man.
I don't blame him at all. I mean, come on.
At that point, you got.
Never forget, he was selected one position higher than Patrick Mahomes.
He sure was.
Crazy. But he'll always have that combine record, That is
so well until it gets broken.
Probably. Yeah.
But and that's the other part. Like, he's also could go still probably run professionally for at least a little bit.
He might be an XFL player,
or run straight up run track. And I'm talking track and field, because he was a track and field athlete prior to just being on the football. Like he's got track speed.
He's got track speed. He ain't got Chiefs training camp speed though. So
no.
Guys who are here though, pretty solid group. Like we said, Sky Moore is in his second season. He's gonna be relied upon heavily in the slot.
That's the other part. Rashee Rice is probably going to see a lot more of your sweep game and your end round jet sweeps.
Yeah, Rashee Rice is going to be. And another thing about Rashee Rice and Justin Ross, some of these guys that we kind of talked about, the contested catch potential this year. We've never seen an offense of Patrick Mahomes' offense that has legitimate like contested catch material, like specifically going after like one-on-one, just beat your guy, jump over him type thing. And Rashee Rice and Justin Ross can both do that pretty well. I mean, MBS ain't no slouch at it either, like especially being as tall as he is. Like in every Andy Reid,
I wish he would jump more, because that pick we gave up last year in the end zone. You couldn't slid a Post-it note underneath his vertical.
It's been a huge emphasis ever since Mahomes has been here for receivers to get separation. Like fast guys that are quick and they can get separated off the line and get open. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot harder to come by these days than you might think.
The other thing Rashee brings is some of that open field running with the ball in their hands type ability. He's
God,
nothing against Sky, but it looked drastically different when Tyreek and Kadarius and McCole ran jet sweeps and end rounds, and when Sky did.
A little bit.
There's a
little bit.
difference. There's a
Sky's got a great role that he's going to have, but maybe
and he's
not
going to
that
get
one,
plenty of
you
use.
know?
But I see a lot more of that kind of stuff being a Rasheed
Yeah, I like
Rice.
using him more as a traditional slot
And I can't
receiver,
remember
you know?
who the coaches said this, and I think it was Greg Lewis again said he's kind of like a running back with the ball in his hands when he's got it in the open field and whatnot. Which
Yeah,
that's a different thing, because a lot of your wide receivers with the ball in the open field get down or try to get out of bounds or whatever. Not Rasheed. He'll look for contact if it's an option. That kid is not afraid to run you over if he has the option.
yeah, I'm really
And
liking the potential
corners in the
of
league,
Rasheed.
corners in the NFL, as some may not know, don't particularly enjoy having to tackle if they don't have to, especially guys that like contact. So that's a bonus. Like I said, this wide receiver running back group, I think you're going to go 7-4. I really
think so.
do.
Yeah, I mean, when you,
I don't think
when
they
you
really
took-
have a choice.
You can't give up, especially, you know, and we talked about, I think, Deneric Prince last episode as well, but him with Pacheco, Clyde, and McKinnon, I mean, he brings some juice. Like, he's got it. He's going to be an NFL running back for the next couple of years.
Another undrafted,
another
7th
late round
round
steal from Brett Beach, just finding it, which is, you know, tough for the whole running back conversation. I will admit it is tough for those top running backs to conversate when you look at the Chiefs, who just won a Super Bowl with a 7th round pick starting at running back, and then they just got this crazy undrafted free agent that's going to be
with their healthy 1st round pick sitting on the side and active.
yeah, that is tough case for the running backs. They're great. I mean, great.
Like I said, it's tough positionally for the values chart, especially because they used to be the most valuable position in the NFL, next to the quarterback, and even sometimes in some cases valued above the quarterback in some organizations.
Yeah.
And now there's 100 of them.
There's just so much depth of talent.
There's 100 of them every year.
It's the other thing is that the running back usage is so much different now. Like, there's so many different things running backs have to do besides just like downhill running.
You know,
so
like pass block,
you know, screens, short catches, short passes.
The one-on-one pass blocking drills that we got video of from, I believe we got to see that from Nick Jacobs' Twitter today. Shout out Nick from KSHB41. Thank you for posting those for us to see. Yeah. You got, I mean, Jerick McKinnon is still
dog.
Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, best pass blocking running back in the league.
There's a guy in camp that made an excellent block on Willie Gay that people don't even probably realize is in camp as a running back / player for the Chiefs, which is LaMichael Pirine. The first clip in that video, Garrett and I had to do some investigative work to figure out who it was that stood Willie Gay up like that, because the jersey, all you can see really is a 9, and so you're kind of limited to two options there, and one of them is Jerrion Ely, and the other one is LaMichael Pirine, and just judging by the size of the two individuals in that video,
Jerrion Ely is very small.
It ain't Jerrion Ely.
That was not very small, so yeah, that just kind of emphasized the whole. Yeah, there's just so many usages for running backs, and also like, really, teams don't like just have one running back. Like, they
definitely
spell
not
in
Andy.
2-3 different guys.
Andy's never liked one running back. Andy's run by committee his entire time in Kansas City.
Pretty much committee.
Yeah, but even back to his Philly days, they had 2 and 3 different running backs that were a little bit different flavor every time.
Yeah, and that's the easier, because it's hard to find that just one complete running back that can do everything.
I'll ask you this: do you think Deneric ends up being more of the goal line back?
You know, he might be.
Because of, I mean, he's different.
I mean, with Pacheco, it's gonna. I mean, it's gonna be both of those guys kind of.
He's bigger than Isaiah. He's bigger. He's almost runs in a similar nature of the whole bowling ball
very similar
mentality.
Between those two, yeah.
He can catch, from what I've seen and heard and what I watched.
I think they'll definitely integrate him in pretty early.
Tulsa, right? This is the kid from Tulsa.
Deneric?
Yes.
Yeah.
So last year, especially, college fantasy football DraftKings stuff is something that when you're bored and it's the football season, you just kind of do it. He was a guy on that Tulsa team that you could usually find for pretty cheap that put up a lot of numbers.
I don't know anything about this, but that sounds like a good time.
So he's a guy that you got to, like I said, it'll switch on, but I down around the goal line area, that just feels
Well, it's
like
so interesting too
he's
because
gonna
like the
eat.
Chiefs, the past couple years at goal line really haven't been
Short yardage and goal line have been.
yeah, like that's kind of been a little bit of a struggle because they like to get pretty cute with it and
We
try
had
to do.
to.
I mean,
We had to
yeah,
get
you
cute
had
with
to
it. The
'cause you
first
don't
year
have a
we
guy
had
like
to
him.
get cute with it. Last time with this, the last couple years with this offensive line, I have multiple
Yeah,
people around the fan base
so
have
having
said,
Prince, who's
why
kind
are
of
we
more of
getting
that
so
traditional,
freaking cute with it? They
yeah,
did less cute stuff last year than the first year with Trey and Creed. I expect this year they're gonna be less cute and more direct with some of that stuff. Now
I
they'll
think
still
so.
do some of that jet sweep because they kill teams with emotion. They
I mean,
absolutely
we're probably going to
destroy
see
teams.
you know what we're going to probably see this year too is the behind the back pass. I mean, that's going to happen
Yeah,
probably.
he's been
Yeah.
doing it all camp. He's doing it from like
Did you see
40 yards away, where he threw it in the
one?
trash can from.
Did you see the one he did the other day where he actually threw it in between his legs he did that. Yeah. He threw it in between his legs.
I did not, but it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me at this point.
I mean, it wasn't very far, but it
He like
was, yeah.
snap it basically through his. Good lord.
Basically, yeah, just flipped it in between his legs to a trainer like 15 yards away. So
we're getting to the point. Like, yeah, who was it? Was it
and obviously we know
Collinsworth last year that said it, that he looked like he was playing with a dad in the backyard playing with kids in the Tampa game?
I think that was on the Tampa one, yeah.
Yeah, where he rolls out, spins
Just
around,
runs around
loses a
and
dude, gets his
flips it at the end.
leg folded over in half, pops up just fine, and threw it to
Yeah.
that play. That's the kind of stuff that causes those comments.
And obviously we remember the snow globe play, the spin around and then have four different motions. Like that was pretty cute. That was pretty cute.
But they're gonna let them be creative because that's how you keep these guys engaged. So
exactly. But now you at least have a running back in Deneric Prince that you can kind of rely on to be more of a downhill.
So you and I are pretty much 7-4, and that's how this is gonna roll. So that kind of leaves you with the tight end question of like, we think the Blake Bell thing's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, I think
because
it's probably going to end up happening.
Fortson, Gray, and Kelsey. Bushman is. I don't know that Bushman's going to clear waivers this time.
I think he might. I think he still might. He's a white guy.
There's going to be some guys that clear waivers, but
yeah, it's
not many.
I think it'll rely a lot on how Jody is. What the extent of his injuries are, and if he's going to be entirely ready by the start, because that could be a guy too that you might IR the first 4 weeks or something, and if he's not fully ready to go. But I think the most likely outcome is they probably end up sticking with 3 at the cut down day.
I think Jody's was a dislocated shoulder, so I don't think that's going to be.
He might be good,
long term.
Exactly, we just got to be mindful of it. But I mean, I don't think Blake Bell is going to go anywhere necessarily. I think it'll just be, he's gonna get a call back in a day after cut down day, and they'll bring him back.
Well, and so this goes to, and that was with Kadarius. So this leads us into the other part. They may not even have to do that now, depending on how the Omenihu situation boils down. Because
good segue.
Today was announced from an incident in January, domestic incident. When he was still with the 49ers, the NFL has suspended Charles Omenihu for 6 games to start the season. So, Kansas City's...
That's crazy amount.
There's no details other than the brief piece in ESPN where it says he pushed her and she went to the ground. That's the only detail I could find. Now, DV wrong, DV bad, should be punished if that happened. Don't do that. Bad, stupid stuff. You should never, ever do that. There's no reason for it. Also, at least this punishment was handed out at the beginning of the season instead of like week 8 or whatever they did last year when they just decided to do something at some point.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Kansas City had to have known that there was a suspension coming. I'm assuming they probably weren't necessarily assuming it was going to be 6 games based on what they've gotten told. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people freaking out. Well, why wouldn't they have something in place if they knew this was coming? Well, they probably do or did. They also still are waiting on somebody to agree to a deal.
Yeah, Chris Jones obviously still not at training camp, still waiting for that new deal. There have been reports that the sides are closer and the Chiefs are very optimistic about getting a deal done.
Chiefs have never not been optimistic about getting a deal.
They're always optimistic. I mean, come on, how can you not? But yeah, I don't think Chris is going to go anywhere. It's just, we talked about it last episode. It's just he's just missing out on some of that St. Joe heat. Don't worry about it. It's
$50,000 a day, and we're up to $500,000 already.
if he,
And I think if he misses all of camp, I think according to Nate and Josh and them from
well,
Times
if he
Ours,
gets
they did the
$30 million
math. It's
a
like
year,
1.7 million or something that he could be
if they give him
fined.
$30 million a year, I think he'll kindly not really mind that.
I know.
That's pennies to the dollar right there for him.
It's to
It's
this
good
point. To this point, you've given up $500,000 just for not showing up to camp now. And he may be in great shape. He may be in great shape, but we also know shape and football shape are not the same thing. There is still a ramp up to playing NFL football, even if you're in excellent shape.
Yeah, definitely still want to get him in before the start of the season, obviously.
I would start to, as Nate said, and then I've said, as Nate said, Taylor said on Kingdom Cast, on an excellent episode of Kingdom Cast yesterday, where him and the boys, Kylie's on vacation, so him and the boys went for like 2 hours plus yesterday.
That was a good episode.
It was an excellent episode. First preseason game, and there's still nothing done. Then we have a little more of a.
Then you maybe start to worry just a little bit.
What are we doing?
But I think also there's still a possibility of potentially adding someone else.
Yeah, but you have to get Chris done first.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
because there's no cap space. Like there's no cap room right now, largely because Chris, I think, accounts for like $26 million this year.
He does have a very big cap hit right now.
So
but as far as obviously that will get done. But as far as like actual depth on the D-line, I don't think there's much to worry about. And like I said, you can potentially still add a vet for relatively cheap. You can bring back Carlos Dunlap.
Let me do this. Let me do this. I saw multiple people with options today, and the 3 most common options, one of which is never, ever coming back here, so I'm not even going to put him on the list. Justin Houston, kids, is not coming back here. He still got some juice, though, man. He may, but he ain't coming here. That ship sailed a while ago.
Yeah, that is true.
So that's done. Stop. So instead of Justin, Melvin Ingram, Carlos Dunlap, or the third option that I continue to see that I've seen for 4 years that will never make sense to me because he doesn't fit the culture. Yeah. He doesn't make sense. Is Jadeveon Clowney. Those are the 3 names. First of all, Jadeveon's a mercenary. He only wants money. He does not care about anything else.
Literally. Only wants money.
Made that extraordinarily clear with all the contract decisions he's made throughout his NFL career. Also, since he was drafted, what has been the main question about that man? His motor, right?
Yeah.
Every single play, does he show up? No.
No.
Watch the film. No. Guys, that's not going to work in Kansas City. They don't do that there.
Yeah, I don't think that's a very realistic. I mean, he's been available for,
and they've had chances to pick him up every year and been like,
every year he's been available, and every year they've passed on him. So I don't think that's going to happen.
They've taken any and all options other than Jadeveon Clowney.
Every other option, yeah, pretty much. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think definitely Melvin Ingram or Carlos Dunlap make the most sense.
It's got to be Dunlap for me, for multiple reasons. One of them being, he's already said I'd be open to a return to a run it back with the Chiefs. Got to figure that out. There's still some conversations happening. We'll figure it out when it gets to that time. Why would Carlos Dunlap want to be in St. Joseph, Missouri right now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He knows the playbook. He was there last year. He knows the scheme. It was there last year. He knows all that. It was there last year. He's probably fine that it's taking longer to get this deal done with Chris because that means neither one of them have to be there. And Carlos ain't getting fined for it.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. So that's really, it's definitely something interesting to think about, but shouldn't be too much of a concern for Chiefs fans as far as like actual depth of the D-line.
Also because the D-line is going to be very, very interchangeable. They've built this defensive line group to basically, if you look through them, they're all pretty similar, except for like 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah.
You have Danny Shelton, who is the size of a house, who is not like anyone else. And Keandre Coburn and Derek Nottie. Those are basically your 3 just space-eating giants that are there in camp for this D-line. The rest of these dudes, edge, interior, it don't matter.
Yeah,
Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, Turk Wharton. Yep. Turk's more inside probably than the edge.
Turk being back is pretty huge for not having Charles Omenihu for those first 6 games.
And Colin Saunders not being around anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So getting him back is huge. And then you have, I mean, all the guys are interchangeable inside or outside, which
pretty much
obviously the Chiefs love to do.
Minus like 2 or 3. So I think everybody just needs to breathe. And no, do I necessarily expect Felix to be a day 1 starter? No. That seems like
he's had a quiet camp so far, but
he's catching up. He's coming off an injury.
Up, yeah.
So
I think someone said, I forget who, but someone said he's got the best pass rush moveset.
Pure pass rush set?
Yeah, by anyone not named Chris Jones.
Yeah. He had the most developed pass rush toolkit in college compared to any of the guys they have on this roster even.
Don't have to worry about too much.
He's got more in his kit than George did coming in. He's got more in his kit than Kando or Malik Herring or insert guy.
Yeah.
Like Omenihu is probably the only one that was close, but as far as tools in the bag, Felix is more diverse.
Yep. Yeah, so that's going to be a big factor for the Chiefs. But yeah, don't worry about it too much. Chris Jones will be here, and the Chiefs D-line, I think, will
be playing this season in Kansas City. It's not about this year; it's about next year.
We ain't got to worry about what don't worry about
he's not losing $20-something million this year.
Yeah, don't worry about what he's posting on Instagram. Don't listen to Frank Clark tweet about it. All right, he's not going to Denver.
Frank is having fun. That's his boy.
That's the funniest part too. People think, he's just gonna go somewhere else. It's like he's still under contract.
He can't.
He's still under contract. I mean, come on, guys. But yeah, so that's a big factor. So other than the D-line,
unless this gets to like nuclear levels of issues between the club and him,
gets Jonathan Taylor level, which he's also coming to the Chiefs, by the way. Jonathan Taylor to the Chiefs confirmed. Heard it here first.
You don't have to worry about it going to the Jonathan Taylor level, I don't think, because you won't ever see Clark Hunt publicly do what Jim Irsay has done in that scenario. Ever. If you do, people should probably see what's going on with Clark, because that's just so far out of character. It's not even
funny. Controlled by the aliens that are here. If that happens.
So, because that is not how they operate. That is not how Clark operates. That's not their deal. It's just
exactly.
He tried to tell the media that the player operations and contract signing decisions were all up to Brett and Andy. Clark, buddy, you write the check, dog.
Come on, bud. Your signature's on every check.
You have some input there, big fella.
Definitely a different situation here with the Kansas City Chiefs. We ain't got to really worry about all that stuff, but
everybody just needs to breathe a little bit when it comes to Chris.
Exactly. Everybody needs to breathe. Now, unfortunately, there's one more piece of news we need to touch on, injury-related concern. Najee Johnson, cornerback, unfortunately tore his ACL in camp about a week ago, which is very unfortunate because Dave Toub was talking very highly of him as one of the best special teams gunners in the league. He was getting some reps with, the ones for a little while, and as far as a cornerback, he was
pushing to make a
he was definitely going to make the team and be
he was making the roster, but
contributors to this year.
He was pushing to make a roster spot on defense.
Yeah, like
not just a special teams guy.
Yeah, and so he unfortunately goes down with an ACL tear that takes him out because they put him on the IR, so that ends his 2023 season.
Well, even if the ACL at that point, you have to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's such a the injury itself
6-7 months recovery time right there.
Sucks.
Yeah, so that's very unfortunate, and it sucks even more because the Chiefs released their first episode of the franchise season. I think it's season 4 of the franchise now at this point. And the first episode features all the rookie defensive backs from last year, as they call themselves, the Fab Five. And it was just a very cool moment watching all the guys, interact with each other. They're very.
He's wearing his Fab Five shirt.
Yeah, he's got a sick Fab Five shirt and all that, and they were talking so highly of him, and he was making plays in camp, and then
he was showing out. And then they go indoors after it rains, and they come out of that practice, and he's headed towards IR.
So that's going to be an extra piece of motivation for that defensive back room this year.
And now that him being one of the best gunners in the league, now Dave Toub's got to figure out who that extra gunner is. Who's that guy?
I think Shamari Connor maybe some run at that.
Who's had receiver room.
Kind of a bit of a quiet camp.
Do you go dig into the wide receiver room to try to get a gunner? Do you keep an extra DB to try to just play special teams with the DB? That's like you said,
Do you
Shamari
sign
Connor.
Marcus Camp again? Oh wait,
He can't because somebody else did because
Man,
Eric
Eric
Bieniemy
Bieniemy took
soaked him
him
up.
too. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe TJ Spiller. Maybe we get him back. Yeah, that's going to be something to look out for. Obviously, that is a huge. Najee Johnson's a pretty significant loss for the Chiefs.
CJ Spiller.
Only like slightly positive is that still early on in camp that you can kind of work in some replacements. As Kyle looks like a Smurf for some reason.
I don't know why my lighting just
I don't know how that happened. Yeah, but all of a sudden you're just blue. Featuring the Blue Man concert over here going on, but yeah, that is some piece of news. So other than that, though, that's kind of about.
Yep. I mean,
is there anything else really significant?
They've got.
So far?
Well, they're kind of in the dog days now. This is the section of camp where, all right, we've been here for like a week and a half, and we're tired of hitting each other. And
yeah, there is one more position we can slightly touch on very quickly. The offensive tackle position, most importantly, left tackle Donovan Smith, who's having a good camp with all legitimate reports, and then one pass rush video comes out of him getting beat. And all of a sudden, he's cooked. All of a sudden,
really get beat. But
and people, I don't know, people overreact to those one-on-ones all the time.
First of all,
the one-on-ones are favoring the D-line. Also, he really didn't get beat, like you said. It was kind of more of a
most. It was a neutral.
Yeah,
like a no win, no loss for anybody.
Right,
snap like.
But per all legitimate reports, he's actually been having a really good camp. Even some people saying that he's back to where he was about a couple years ago when he was doing really well.
Well, I mean, it's been documented he was hurt last year at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
so if he's healthy,
you heard me on this show a couple months ago when they first signed him. I was like, I'm concerned. I have questions. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It was interesting. Yeah.
And then a little more digging, a little more looking, a little more digging, a little more looking. Okay,
we can maybe.
And for all of the stuff that it was last year, Orlando, everybody had issues with that too. So at some point, I know everybody thinks and wants Mitch Schwartz at both tackle positions forever and ever and ever and all that.
Yeah, we need to clone Mitch Schwartz.
Not going to happen. Now, Juwan Taylor has been exactly what they expected him to be on the right-hand side, which is good. As long as Donovan is above average or above average, we're good.
I know Joe Tooney, I think, just spoke pretty highly of both of them today during
man, there's a good chance that this offensive line is the best one he's ever played behind. And that's nothing against Mitch and against any of the other guys. And by the way, Mitch said nothing against Mitch when I believe it was James Palmer that said something similar or somebody else said something similar. It's not a shot at Mitch. And Mitch flat out said, not a shot. It's a legitimate thing.
If you look at the 2019 Super Bowl, O-line, like they were okay, but you still had like, what was his name? Steve Wisniewski.
Oh, yeah. Stefan Wisniewski was
So
filling in for Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who was not there.
Austin Ryder was starting still. Like, not bad guys, but it's just
not the same thing.
When you compare, Austin Ryder's still on the team, by the way, which is kind of crazy. I saw him a picture the other day. I was like, oh yeah, he's still on the team.
I will be surprised if he makes it through camp this year.
Yeah, I think they might stash him on practice squad again, low key.
They aren't going to get him to the practice squad. If they don't keep him, he's going to Washington or Chicago.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But he's a vet free agent, so he would be
vet minimum.
But he also isn't subject
and he doesn't have to clear.
He might just want to stay in Kansas City and just collect some more rings,
Sure, but if Washington comes knocking and
they might need a starting
center because they're going to have.
Because he could actually probably still start games in this league. So.
He could definitely be a backup for him, if not a starter.
Yeah.
And Eric Bieniemy's main thing in Washington right now is changing the culture and helping address the culture problems and some of the other stuff, especially with Rivera been battling with
random time. Where did Andrew Wiley go? Who did he sign with? I was just thinking about the Pokemon card.
They paid him a decent contract. Was he at the Saints?
He is with the Commanders. That's
Washington. Yeah.
Okay, so if they bring him, they'll have the whole. Yeah, that's a good way to change the culture right there. Yeah.
So
Eric Bieniemy.
I think Byron Pringle's there already too.
Is he? That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because wasn't he Chicago last year? And then
he probably might be. Yeah,
he's
he
in
is
Washington
a
this year.
too.
Yeah. So again,
Crazy.
it's right back down the same pathway. So
Washington training the Chiefs East.
You got Chiefs East, Chiefs North, and Chiefs South with the Bears and the Jags. I already talked about that part. So it is what it is.
That's kind of about
the name, the tackle to pay attention to that's not the starters is the fact that
Wanye Morris. Yeah,
Wanye. I was gonna let you do it because you said it. Yeah, Wanye is. He's been very good at both sides from all accounts and reports in this camp. So that's excellent news because the big question was who's gonna be the swing tackle.
Yeah, and it's gonna be him. It's gonna be. I mean, he might
He's gonna have to beat out Prince. I think.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Right now, the other thing that's going to help Wanye is familiarity with Creed, familiarity with that from the offensive line perspective. He's played with Creed. He played with Creed in college.
Yeah.
So, just stuff to pay attention to on the offensive line conversation. Your interior is done and set. Like,
oh yeah, that's been good. You're all good. Which also, by the way, if you want to talk about interior guys, neither Creed Humphrey or Joe Tooney or Trey Smith made the NFL Top 100 list, which is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, the NFL Top 100 list is ridiculous in itself, but come on, guys. Come on.
All right. Jamar Chase was 39th, and Josh Jacobs was like 12th on that list. So...
yeah, that is true. Yeah, definitely.
We do this every year with the Top 100 list. Guys, the players don't pay attention. They vote for their friends. This is not news. They don't care. And they also don't care about this stupid list, most of them.
I mean, even like in the previews that they'll run, they'll be like, who do you think number one player is? Yeah, I'm gonna go with my teammate.
Every time.
Wide receiver teammate, you know?
And it's like,
I'm gonna go with Darius Slay. It's like, what? Yeah.
So it's the NFL Top 100 is the outrage machine of the offseason to kick everything off, to get everybody frenzied up right before preseason kicks off, because they do this every year.
It's like, let's just stir the pot.
Well, and they ask the players about this, and the players will flat out tell you, I just wrote some names down of people I remembered his name in the league. Yeah, I just filled it out. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and some of them really do take it serious. Great.
Some of them.
Most of them don't.
Not most of them, yeah. So don't worry about the top 100.
The top 100 list does not matter.
But with that being said, Mahomes should be.
They're going to do something stupid. You know this is going to happen. There's going to be some magical way that Aaron Donald is number 1 and Patrick is 2 or 3.
He was actually number 11 this year. I don't know if you saw. He was number 11.
I know. That's why I said it, because we think he's higher than him. They may have left him off the list too.
That is true, huh? You can't be too sure, but I think Patrick Mahomes this year actually should get number 1. By
the way, I don't think there's a single Chief listed in the top from 11 to 100.
Literally not. Yeah, not a single one. There's literally only Pat, Travis, and Chris left in the top 10. So I don't know if that's accurate, but hey, we'll just keep winning rings. You can win your fancy offseason lists that don't matter. You know, I'm sure Bengals fans are having a field day over having like 6 guys. So yeah, with that being said, that's about all we have for you this episode. We will be back next week to talk more camp. Hopefully our guy Arrowhead Tom will be back with us. We might have a special guest with us as well.
We will have a special guest with us next week. I can tell you that already.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you all so much for supporting us, as always. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, The Kingdom Says Pod, and all of our socials, at Kingdom Says Pod on Facebook, Twitter. I'm going to still call it Twitter, even though it's X.
Still says Twitter underneath the thing, even though the logo is an X.
Mine's updated all to X. I mean, it's still twitter.com, but
the desktop still goes to Twitter and shows Twitter underneath it and everything else, even though there's an X logo. So yeah, I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm not calling it X.
I will never call it X. Hopefully,
Threads, Instagram, the app that used to have a blue bird that now has what everybody thinks is a porn notification every time they pull up their phone and aren't sure what's there.
Yeah.
So follow those, like the podcast, but go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go watch the YouTube channel.
For sure.
There's going to be a ton of stuff coming through there. We've talked about it a bunch. It's starting to gear up finally because the season's here and there's content to be able to be made for some of this stuff. So we're ready to roll. There's going to be a bunch for you guys. Like, share, tell your friends. There's a bunch of you. Spread it around. And then be on the lookout for the Discord. And be on the lookout for all the new content rolling out on all the different platforms.
Exactly. So definitely go check out our YouTube too. You can watch our beautiful faces as we talk about
faces.
So, Yeah. So as like I said, thank you all so much for listening and watching. And we will be back next week on another episode of the Kingdom Says podcast.